are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, as the caption below says, you can call me Sully. This show is being dropped on the first day of September 2021, and we are now at the part of the year that I like to call the good stuff. This show is available on the free and easy-to-use Odyssey app. And if you're at home, if you're in your car, and you have a smart device, be sure to tell it to play podcast Locked On MLB, or check out some of the other great shows on the Locked On Podcast Network, including Locked On Fantasy Baseball with Scott Cullen. You can also follow us on Twitter at Locked On MLB Pods. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, as it says right below there. Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. If you know what I'm talking about, if you just listen to me in your earbuds, we're also available now on YouTube. You can subscribe to us. Thank you for those of you who do subscribe to us already. Subscribe to us at the Locked On MLB YouTube page. And by the way, there's also a Sully Baseball YouTube page, which features my in memoriam videos and a couple other videos I did well before I got involved in Locked On MLB. So check out some of those. Some of those are a lot of fun. Hey, it's funny that baseball likes to be associated with the spring. At the beginning of the year, it's the signal that the winter's over and baseball's begun. Spring has sprung. And then baseball's there all summer long. It's our companion. It's our sport, the boys of summer. It's our companion all summer long. And in some ways, that's the part of the game that I think I love the most in terms of the comfort that during May, June, July, August, there's always a game on every day, except for that one day before the All-Star game. And there's always, chances are if your team isn't playing, that there's a reason to follow a game. And you don't watch every single pitch. You're locked in to every single at-bat. It's there. It's always there for you. You're washing dishes, you're doing a barbecue, you're doing chores, you're taking a long drive, and you got a ball game on. And the summertime is when it's your companion. But let's face it, fall is where it's good. It's really good. You know, the best movies that have a great climax and a great end part to it, well, they work because the build-up to it was worthwhile. Whether it was the truck chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark or the Avengers all coming through the Doctor Strange portals in, Avengers Endgame, or whether it was a Death Star battle, or whether it was a big fight with Green Goblin and Spider-Man, whatever you're going to point to, all the Rocky fights, whatever film that you're looking that has a great finale, then they only work as a finale and are memorable if the build-up to it is worthwhile. And the build-up to a baseball season is the fall. That was one of the weird things about last year's truncated 60-game season. I obviously, it had to happen the way it did because of COVID, and I understand. But there is that element that it felt like it was just dessert without the dinner. And while it's nice to sneak a cookie from time to time, having those moments where the whole year has built up to this final showdown, well, that's what makes the season so great. And one of the reasons why I love baseball is the fact that the season is long. The season does have ebbs and flows. That it isn't always just every game means everything, like in football. I like having stretches where a team plays really well, plays poorly, they can adjust. I really love that about the game. But now comes the good stuff. Now comes the dessert. Now comes the attack on the Death Star. Now comes stealing E.T. away on the bikes. All the great endings of movies you want to throw at me, fine. This is where it gets really good. Okay? And with the fall arriving, we could see some, well, let's just be fair and call it potential Major League Anarchy. Now, one big surprise that has come about, in my humble opinion, is all year long I've been saying that I don't believe that there is a single 100-win team in the American League, nor did I think there was a 100-loss team in the American League. I thought it was all kind of bunched together. I didn't expect the Rays to do what they're doing right now. I didn't think the Rays would go on this rampage that has all but erased the effects of the Yankees' 13-game winning streak. And right now, as of this recording, the Rays are tied with the San Francisco Giants for the best record in baseball, not just the American League, but the best record in baseball. And they're on that 9-game winning streak, and they beat the COVID-ravaged Red Sox, who had a pretty miserable August. But with that, the Rays have thrown themselves into that one position that I didn't think we were going to see all year long, which is American League frontrunner. You know, you take a look at the standings right now as of this recording, as we're just now entering September. It's just a little past midnight as I'm recording this. The Tampa Bay Rays are 84-48. They are the only team in the American League that has already clinched a winning record. And that 84-48 is identical to the San Francisco Giants and is half a game better than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, the other teams in the American League, there is one other surefire playoff team, and that is the White Sox, have a middle of a 2-game winning streak. And despite the Indians having some really terrific pitching recently, the Central is all but wrapped up. The Astros are pretty clear for winning a postseason spot as well, although there was a weird bit of irony in the game between the Mariners and the Astros on Tuesday evening. The last time the Mariners and the Astros played in Seattle, Kendall Graveman was the star closer for the Seattle Mariners, and the Mariners won because of a late inning grand slam that stunned the Astros. And the celebration had just ended when Graveman was traded from the Mariners to the Astros for Toro. And the timing of it could not have been worse for the morale of the Seattle Mariners. And yet here we are today, and the Mariners played the Astros in a wonderfully pitched ball game. And Graveman is now on the mound for the Astros, and he was facing Toro, who is now batting for the Mariners. And what did Toro do? He hit a grand slam to win that game. So at least for today, the Mariners got the better of that trade. But taking a look around, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the A's, they're all kind of bunched together right now. Now, I know the Red Sox had a terrible, terrible month that went from the best record in the American League to hanging on by their fingernails to the second wildcard spot. But as I had Lauren on from Locked On Red Sox, I said to her, and I'm going to say it again right now, if I had polled 1 billion Red Sox fans before the season and said on September 1st, the Red Sox would be on pace to win 90 some odd games and have the second wildcard spot, would you take it? And every single fan would have said yes, especially after the disappointing 2019 season, the poor defense of the World Series, and the disastrous Renicky year of 2020 in the truncated season. If you had said, okay, in September, they're a playoff team, then guess what? Everyone would take it. Everyone would take it. Remember a couple of days ago, the Yankees were in the middle of that tremendous winning streak, and it looked like the Yankees had turned the corner, and were on the verge of probably being the favorite to win the American League pennant. Now, they could very well win the American League pennant. Absolutely, they could. And they're on a 4-game losing streak. Fine. That means out of their last 17 games, they've won 13 of them. Most people would take that ratio. But here's an interesting fact. There's about 30 games to go. 30. That's a small sample size. That's about a month's worth of games. In other words, if you look at the standings at the end of April, there could be some weird standings. And you say, yeah, it's only April. With that amazing streak that the Yankees went on, and a horrific streak that the Oakland A's went on, where they lost 7 of 10 recently, leading up to the series with the Yankees, keep this in mind. If over the last 30 games, the A's play 3 games better than the Yankees, then they would have caught them. If they played 4 games better than the Yankees down the stretch, then they would pass them. If the Red Sox played 3 games better than the Yankees, then they would pass them. There is a scenario where the Yankees miss the postseason altogether. It's a long stretch because it involves let's just be honest, not a tremendously strong Red Sox team to go on a big run, and an A's team that has been up and down all year to have it click. But do you know what? It's only 30 games. You're not talking 162 anymore. This is the good stuff. This is where it gets real good. This is the part of the year that everyone remembers. This justifies a summer. And teams that were big-time contenders all year that fall apart at the very end and miss the playoffs at the very end are forgotten. Remember the 2010 Padres? I bet you don't. They were a team that were in first place right towards the end of the year. And they were passed by the Giants, who went on to win the World Series. And most people don't remember that squad. Most people don't remember some of the teams that were surprise contenders that came up just short towards the end. Because people remember who wins and who played the best in October. And in order to get there, you need a September. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, please, please call me Sully.